Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Today, we have the pleasure to have Chandana. How do you pronounce your last name, Chandana?
Chandana Bhowmick.
Chandana Bhowmick.
Yeah.
Chandana Bhowmick. Sorry, I'm not so good with names. So it's a pleasure to have you. Chandana is connected from Mysore. She is spending one more season with studying with Shala, and she has made some room to talk to us. Thank you.
Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, I was really interested in talking to you because as we were chatting right before we came live, we've met before, we've met in person, studying with Shala, Mysore, and so it's always nice to connect with other teachers and other peers across the world. That's one of the fantastic things about Mysore, really, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And also, I think that you have a lot to offer as a practitioner, as a teacher, and also as a woman. But just to start light, start from the beginning, maybe you can let us know how you got started with yoga, your first steps. How did that happen?
So how did that happen? I'm from east of India. I was born and brought up in east of India. And there my schooling involved a lot of sports and activities. So I was an athlete in school. But then for my grads and my postgrads, I came to Pune, which is west. And there was no physical activity, no sports, nothing. Like in school, I was with an adventure foundation managed by Miss Bachendri Pal. She's the first Indian woman to climb Mount Everest. And I used to go mountaineering with her and things like that. But in Pune, there was no physical activity, no sports, no mountaineering. And I got introduced to junk food. For me, junk food back home, there was no burgers, no pizzas. For us, junk food was masala dosa. That was our junk food. But in Pune, the pizzas and burgers happened. So I gained a lot of weight. Like, the first 6 months of a freshman year, what you call in like the American terms, I gained like a lot of weight. So I was 78 kilos at one point of time, and I'm 5'1" in my height.
Oh,
I know. It was not good. So when I went back home for my brother's marriage, thanks to my brother who pushed me and my football coach, who happens to be from Bihar School of Yoga, he introduced me to yoga. And that's how I started. And so this was in like 2000. So I started practicing, I saw the benefits, I liked it, and I continued with it.
And what type of yoga do you get started with? Tell us about.
I was doing hatha yoga at that point of time.
And how to be a Ashtanga Yoga teacher?
Oh, can I just, sorry.
No problem, go for it.
Sorry.
Sorry. Really? Why don't you close the door?
I'm so sorry.
No problem.
Everybody stays together in Mysore, so we have to. There's a lot of people asking. Yeah. So yeah, he was in hatha yoga. He was an Indian wrestler by profession, but then he became a football coach. So he used to practice. He studied from Bihar School of Yoga, Munger. So I never studied yoga. I was like one of those, carry a mat and go to a yoga studio. That's what I was doing from 2000 to 2010. So that was my life, because I also worked in banking and finance for 5 years. So it was all about going early morning to a yoga class, coming back, taking a smoothie and going to office. That's what I was doing. And then 2010, I quit my job because I saw gender inequality in terms of salary. So
Oh.
my salary was less than my male counterparts. And when I questioned my boss, he did not have an answer for me. So there was an immediate disconnect for me. Like, will I grow here? Do I want to grow here? I enjoyed my job. I really enjoyed it. But I questioned, do I really want to grow here, or do I want to do something that is like from here?
Yeah.
That's when I quit my job and I invested in my time, energy, everything to become a yoga teacher. So that's how I started.
Huh. The thing you were saying, I just have to say this because I come from corporate as well. You say that you were in banking and finance. I was in sales. And at some point, yeah,
Okay.
like international sales.
Okay.
At some point, I think, at least I lived in the fantasy that it would be possible for me to do my corporate job and the yoga. But at some point, there is such a disconnect.
Yeah.
You saw that gender inequality and your manager was not able to give you an answer that was. I saw my managers, no disrespect at all, but they were not people that I wanted to become.
Exactly. Same here. I didn't want to become the ones I was reporting to. Yeah, I get it. Exactly.
So at some point it became like, okay, I'm pushing myself to doing this thing. It's taking up so much energy, like mental energy, physical energy. It's draining me. How about I just let go? I don't know.
Yeah. Like it was a big decision because understand the Indian culture, like it's fed in our system that, okay, when you grow up, what do you want to become? So right from childhood, we've been asked like what kind of job you want to do. So our entire schooling and college is like, okay, so you do your schooling, you pass out of your high school, you have to attend your grads, you have to do a postgrads, get a good job and start earning money. Like that's a very set mindset, like you have from, that's how you grow up. When I decided to quit my job, not forget my family, even my friends were like, are you okay? Are you sure you want to do this? I was like, yeah, I think I want to. Yeah, it's time. Yeah.
You know this movie, it's this Bollywood movie. It's called Three Idiots.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that.
Exactly.
The actor. It's like Amir Khan.
Amir Khan. Yeah. Oh, you know your Bollywood actors.
I do. I know.
Nice.
Amir Khan. That's it. Yeah, but it was a great movie, and it comes to my mind as you were speaking. So then what happened?
Like there was a chance for me. I love dancing. Like I have learned ballroom dancing and I've learned jazz and ballet. So there was a time wherein I got accepted by a dance company for the ballroom dancing. I wanted to join them in terms of profession, like as a professional, but my parents did not allow me. They're like, where are you going to get the money from? No, you can't do dance. You have to do your postgrads and start earning. So yeah, like it's when I quit my job, like now it's much little bit more acceptable, but not when I was quitting my job. No.
That was 2010.
2010, yeah.
8 years ago.
Yeah.
And when did you decide that you were coming to Mysore?
So 2010 March, I was at the yoga festival in Rishikesh, and that's where I met Deepika. And I did like one class of hers, and I was so hooked on and amazed by this practice, which was all about movement and so strong. It just like pulled me. I was like, so I went and asked her like, where do you learn this? She's like, Mysore. And 2010 October, I was in Mysore. So yeah, that's how I got introduced to Ashtanga. And I was like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. That's about it. So yeah, that's how I got my way to Mysore. This is how I came to Mysore.
And you showed up in Mysore, and what happened? What were your impressions? being at the
The
Shala.
impression, so understand, okay, this is like very interesting because understand I am very flexible, right? I have hypermobility in all my joints and I'm very mobile and very flexible. So those 10 years of going with a yoga mat and getting my smoothie and going back to office or going back to college, I wouldn't say I was exploited for my flexibility, but my ego was kind of rubbed in the wrong way. Like I was high on ego because every yoga teacher was all about flexibility. Like they would just make me do splits, they would pull me, push me, things like that. And I have a soft body. So I was like, oh, I'm doing yoga. Wow, perfect. So actually, when I called the Shala, and the first question I asked, and thank God it was Usha who answered the phone. The first question I answered was, will I get a certificate? I'm very good in yoga. And she said no. And I'm so happy she did that because when I came to Mysore and then when I saw the practice and I saw the other practitioner, it just humbled me. Like I was like, no, I'm no one, there's a lot to learn. It was a very humbling experience. It was scary. Like imagine you're sitting outside the porch and the Shala door, the old Shala door at Gokula, and you see people doing their third and fourth series, Kino and Alia and Lucia doing their third and fourth series. I was like, oh my God, what is this? Like, I don't think so. I don't think I'll go anywhere near this and everything. So it was scary, but it was very humbling. And I needed that. And the practice itself, I understood that, no, I'm nowhere. There's a lot for me to learn. So that was my first experience in Mysore. And of course, Guruji, his criticism was like, no, more, you should do more. It's like, okay, it was very humbling. So yeah, thankful for that experience.
That was actually my next question, because that's been I think that's a common experience that we have when we go to Mysore. It's very humbling. You believe that you're someone for some reason, but then even when you're the logistics there, they probably don't apply anymore in the big Shala that Sharaji has, but before we had to wait. And if you are relatively new in Mysore, you're gonna get a late batch. And so you're gonna be waiting like for 45 minutes, even 1 hour before practice. To me, that's like the first slap in the face. You don't get to choose when you practice. That's already chosen for you. You don't get to choose what you practice. That's already chosen for you. And so it's and then as Westerners, we also have the cultural clash. The cultural clash, we also have it, Westerners. And so to me, the whole experience at first, it's like slap on the face, and now humble down. Make it easy. Then that's when you really start to look for, at least that was my experience, to look for a deeper sense of yoga beyond mobility or whatever.
Imagine being cradled because you're flexible, being cradled that, oh, she's so good for 10 years. And then you come to a place where everybody's so good and you're just like, you crash in front of them, and you start from the scratch again. You start from base again. You get to know yourself because, you went with your ego so high and then you were like, you're nowhere, so much to learn. That's the wrong learning you were kind of indulging in. So you come and you start again. So you learn how to know yourself. You learn how to study your emotions, understand your emotions, understand your mind, understand how you think. you know, all those things, you go very deep in within. And I think this practice, that is what made me so strong emotionally and mentally. And I'm like, we'll talk about it later. And that is what helped me later in life. So knowing oneself is like so important, and it's a pillar. Like if you know yourself, you build a strong foundation, and then you become like a whole world in yourself. So I guess that is what happened in Mysore. And it's still happening. It's not that I know myself fully. I'm like, we are human, you know, we make mistakes, but we should be making mistakes because that's how we learn. So you're still learning, but then it is, you actually know when you are wrong and you accept it, and you know when you're right and you stand for it. That strength of saying, of apologizing for your mistakes and standing for your truth, I think that's the best thing every human being can have.
Many times I get the feeling that people are drawn to yoga. People, and I include myself in this group. I'm not different, really. We are drawn to yoga because we're looking for some joy. We're looking for well-being. We're looking for even a form of escape. But actually, what yoga does is that confront yourself, like you see yourself so clearly. All this, you know, this cliche expression that yoga is a mirror. It is, and many times what you see, you don't like, you don't want to own up to, but it's inside of you. So there's really no escape. This inner journey, which is very real.
So true. It's an inner journey.
It's very real, and it's not always pretty, but from it comes a lot of compassion, I think. And a lot of strength.
Like the other day, this happened in the Shala. Somebody reacted to their emotions. That student had a bad day in the Shala, and of course, you know, that's being human. But I was like, it's okay, because you know, for me, I like knowing. The more I know myself, I know that sometimes even I react because I'm human. I sometimes I cannot control my emotions. So why should I be, you know, surprised if somebody else doesn't? So I was like, it's okay. You know, she had a bad day. She came and apologized to me. She was like, I really had it. I was like, it's fine. It's being human. I understand. Because I know I do that too. Like, that's what I said. Apologizing for the wrong that you might have done, or, you know, that's quite possible being human, and standing for your truth. It's the best thing that you can do. And that is what builds that strong character. That strong determination to live life on your rules, which is a good place to be in. So I think that's nice.
It sounds very empowering, Chandana. Going back to the experience, because we will touch on all of that a little later, but going back so that we kind of close the chapter before moving on to the next. Going back to your experience in Mysore. I remember Sharaji, he probably does it sometimes on purpose, sometimes maybe it's just the numbers and the logistics, but I get the impression that he has good instinct with people, reading people's minds, not only bodies, but minds, and sometimes just you get what you need from him at any given point. Do you have any anecdote or any story?
You know, this happened in 2012. That point of time, I was really struggling, deciding about whether I should go for a divorce or not. And I was having a very bad day, but for me, it's all like, I remember one thing he said is like, no matter how you feel, just step on the mat. So I always abide by that thing. So I stepped on the mat and I finished my practice, and he came for the catching.
Oh,
And he gave me the catching, and I don't know, something happened. I came up and I was all in tears, and all he did was like, that's it. And that was the day actually I made the decision that yes, this marriage is not going to last and I need to end it. I have never spoken to him about the difficulties in my marriage and things like that, but he understands when you go inside the Shala, he understands if you're in a good space or not. And he also being a we are all householders, like, right, and he's also a householder, so he understands that we have things going in our life apart from our practice, and he acknowledges that as a teacher. Even in the new Shala, there was this a student. um, Again, she answered back to him. And normally, if somebody answers back to your teacher, the teacher shouts it, right? Shouts back, right? He actually went and he was very, very soft to her. And he's like, why don't you do this and this and this, and it will work out. And she did that, and even she softened it. So yeah, he understands, even with so many people around, he knows. Of course, you have to come to Mysore a couple of times for him to actually know you.
yeah.
But once he knows you, he actually knows. So like today, there's this one asana he wants me to do it in a some way, like in a typical, in a some like he's like, I want your feet to be closer and everything. So I tried and it was not happening, and I said, help, I need help, I can't do it. He's like, you can do it, do. And honestly, I could do it like 75%. So tomorrow again I'll work on it and probably I'll get it. Like I had given up, like I was like, I can't do it, and he was like, no, you can do it, so do it. So yeah, he knows, and he exactly gives you what you need, and he knows when you need it. So yeah.
That's probably one good skill of a great teacher, like having faith in you, in your possibilities, even when you don't believe.
Yeah.
That's
No,
probably
no, no.
good.
Yeah. There is. And also, like, I've been coming here for so many years, and I've been also assisting him. And I've seen him teach specifically when I'm assisting him. And over the years, I've seen him teach every student individually. Like the entire dogma that surrounds Ashtanga, that it's very one way, it's like a cookie cutter, there's no other way, you have to get this asana this way or else he doesn't move you forward. That's not true. He respects and accepts every student as they are, in terms of specifically in terms of their physicality, and that's how he teaches them. The way he has taught me, and also like for me also, over the years my body has changed with the practice.
Yeah.
His teaching has changed as my body has changed. So yeah, he's intuitive. That's a sign of a very good guru, you can say. Being intuitive. Yeah.
Definitely, there is a very important part in any human dynamic. I think any connection or any dynamic relationship that happens between two people.
Yeah.
Intuition is that
exactly
energy exchange. I remember how he mentioned that, and how Sharachi mentioned that in a conference once. When you are teaching someone, you are sharing a lot of energy with that person. There's so much of your energy going to that person, and there has to be an exchange. And
yeah,
you feel it when you practice, and you feel it when you are teaching as well.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Um, can I share something that happened in the Shala? This is somebody who was assisting for the first time, and that student had to come and give me a back bend, and there was a lot of hesitation, and I was like, come, just come. And the student was like, no, 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 I can't. I was like, just try.
It's easy with you. Very easy with you.
No, so it's again, it was like my trust and my acceptance, as you said, the energy that I was like giving out. Actually, it was a perfect catching. I went up to my knee. I was like, see, there you go. Why were you so scared?
Yes.
So yeah, it's an exchange. When you teach, I always tell my students that what I'm teaching is from my 100%, like my practice. When I'm teaching you, you take 50% of that 100%, and then you get your own 50 and make your own 100, because your and my body is not the same.
It's so true.
But yeah, so it's a very combined effort. Like it's a give, it's an acceptance and a giving. So both is very important. Yeah. And as Guruji is always ready to like give. I know, like he is so particular about the knee placement, the heel, everything. He's like, no, do this, do that. So he wants to give as much as he can. And again, that's like it's very disciplined, it's very important, but it's not the dogma. It's not like, okay, this is it, this is Ashtanga, this is how it can be done. It's different for different people. You have to come to the Shala to experience that.
I understand that, and there is something that I liked what you said, which is like, I'll give you 50%, and then you bring your 50%, and then you make your own 100. That's brilliant, I think, because many times we look for answers, like very concrete and specific answers, either us going to Mysore or going to a teacher. We hope that that person will have a formula that will solve every struggle in practice, and why not in life?
Yeah,
That's not the case. This yoga is about, I say it so many times to students, that this yoga, and to myself, this yoga is about questions. It's not about getting answers. It's about asking questions and becoming better.
Yeah.
At asking better questions.
Yeah.
From how do I catch in Kapotasana to who am I?
Who am I? Yeah. Or what is stopping me from catching in Kapotasana?
Yeah.
Other than the how, is what is stopping me.
Yeah.
I think that is more important. Yeah, as I said, I had given up today, and he was like, no, I know you can do it, so you do it on your own. I'm not helping you. So yeah, what stopped me? It was my own I didn't believe in myself.
Yeah,
that stopped me from doing that asana properly. So yeah, we are our own hindrances, sometimes we are own blocks sometimes. So yeah.
Big time. And tell us now about running your own Shala. It's like we are getting to know you a little bit better as a practitioner, but also as a teacher. You at the end of the day, you are in the same headspace when you're practicing or when you're teaching. The headspace is very similar, but the role is different.
Yeah.
So how was it for you? How did you start? What's your experience?
When teaching, I always liked it is something like you give to a student and you see them becoming better and better, not only in terms of their physicality, but also their self or their knowledge of their self. It's an amazing thing to watch that process of transformation. Like when you see a student give up, there are so many students, they'll be like, they'll hit themselves. And I was like, why are you doing this? What did the body do to you? Relax. And then you see them becoming a strong individual where they understand, they're more calm and quiet. That is what gives me a lot of satisfaction. And I love teaching for that reason. Like I see that little change, any kind of change, physical, mental, emotional, like even a little bit of change, and I see the spark and joy in their eyes. That's like heaven for me. I love it.
Yeah.
That's like my teaching space. And for me, when I'm practicing, it's the same. When I see that change, um, be it physical, like, yeah, 78 to 45 now, I'm happy. I'm very happy now. Like 78 kilos to 45 kilos now. Of course, I'll be happy. I'm healthy now. That change. Or like understanding that, oh, I was wrong. I'm going to say sorry to that person. That strength of going and apologizing for my mistake. When I see that change, even that gives me joy. So for me, this practice was a tool for becoming a better individual. And it was also a tool that I was sharing with my students to become, and they are becoming, like I am becoming, they are also becoming a better individual. That's the common aspect of teaching as well as practicing. And running a Shala in Pune, it's interesting because Pune is known as Oxford of the East. So you have a lot of universities there, and IT, a lot of information technology, a lot of IT jobs and everything. And you have a lot of expats over there because we have lots of industries. Yeah. So my students have been basically expats or students from the other cities. They come to Pune, they stay for 2 months, and then they study with me.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, Pune has gone through their ups and downs and things like that, but it's nice. It's fun. And I also do a 12:30 batch in the afternoon, wherein the teachers who teach different kinds of yoga, they come and they have started learning Ashtanga now. So that is an interesting thing to do. Like I started that as a project. Like, let me see if I do a 12:30 batch, who's going to come. So I thought the business people or the homemakers would come, but actually the teachers are coming in that batch. All the other practitioners from other schools, they come for Ashtanga at 12:30.
Yeah, because in Pune you have a very, I mean, Iyengar, it's very established in, if I am correct.
Pune.
Yeah.
Yeah, but understand, Pune is huge.
Okay.
The distance between the Iyengar Institute and my Shala, where I stay, it's a drive of like 45 minutes.
Okay.
So, and with traffic, forget it. You don't even want to try it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Pune is huge.
Well, you were saying this process of growth that you have experienced and that you see in your students as well. I suppose that especially happens, or the teaching is really fulfilling when you get to work with a group of people that it's kind of the same. You can get new people, and some people might fall off just for whatever reason, but at some point you build a community around you, or it's not like you build it, it's more that it comes and it stays, it happens around you. And that's a beautiful thing. In my experience, at least, having that deep connection with the people that come to practice with you, and at the end of the day, you really grow together. I remember one teacher once told me that you should always be grateful for your students because they teach you those things that you still need to learn.
Absolutely. Like I tell my students, don't bunk classes because I need to teach you to grow myself. You need to grow and let me grow too. So they're like, huh? I was like, yeah, only when you grow, I grow. So don't bunk classes. So, I always tell my students, don't bunk classes. I need to grow as you need to do too. So they're like, it's very important. Like, the more your students grow, even you do the same. So yeah.
I also in the Mysore room, you definitely see this dynamics in Shala, but in other Shalas like your Shala or maybe my Shala, there are also dynamics that take place. My experience, and maybe you can now share your views on it. And my experience is that what goes unsaid doesn't go unnoticed.
No.
Yeah, everything is so just like if there's like any little thing between two people, you just know, pick it up, you know.
Yeah.
And how do you handle your community? Your community, how do you handle the energetic exchange, not only between you and the student that you're working with, but just like in general, how do you make sure that it's a place where people grow and that it's healthy, there's no toxicity, there's no extreme attachment, which is something that you sometimes can see, you know. How do you keep it healthy and clean?
You know, it is hard, but I think you have one thing I have is like there is a boundary that I do have between my students and me. There's one boundary I'll keep where they cannot like, for example, when I see that they are coming in with like they had a bad day a day before and then they're coming to practice next day, and when the student enters, you notice that, it's unsaid, but you notice it. So I just go to them and I'm like, listen, I know I can see it that you're not in a good space, but remember this 1.5 hours that you have. If you just think about this practice, you'll go out in a better way. It's your choice whether you want to live in this bad mood or you want to just do your practice and go better. And you're an adult, you choose. I'm not going to push it for you. So I always treat my students as an adult, and I tell them that when you come to this class, you have a responsibility as a student. Like I have a responsibility as a teacher. You have a responsibility as a student. So don't think the whole responsibility lies to me. No. Yeah. There is certain amount of responsibility that you also have to undertake, or else this won't work. So that little boundary that I make, I think that helps. Like students are responsible when they come to the Shala. They're responsible for the space that they hold, the practice that they do, the way they react. They're responsible for that. I think that is what has kept things healthy. Also, I like to feed my students. So quite often on a Saturday after Leil, I was like, okay, stay back. I put a big breakfast spread. And it's like, enjoy now. I have made you work hard enough. Now you can eat. So yeah, like there is a certain amount of strictness that I maintain as a teacher, but then there are little pockets of like, come, I'll take care of you. But yeah, there is a strict code. Like if you're coming to the Shala, there's a code of conduct for me. Yeah. And there's a code of conduct for you also as a student. So I always tell them code of conduct for a teacher as well as a student. So I always maintain that.
I think that's really important, Chandana, having that. You mentioned things like responsibilities, boundaries, codes of conduct. And that ties back to what you were saying at the very start of our chat, which is that standing up for yourself and being strong and knowing what's right for you, knowing what's wrong. And so maybe you can share with us what strength is about, because you've gone through life experiences that have made you really make big decisions. So I'm curious to know more, however you want to approach it.
Yeah, so as I told you, 2002, so I was married for 4 years, and the first year of the marriage, actually, honestly, I rushed into the marriage. Eh, Being an Indian woman, 29 years old and not married, and being the only daughter in the family not married. Oh my God, the social pressure that I went through. Like any problems, any health problems in the family, it was because I was not getting married. Like, so you can understand how much of a pressure I had gone through. It was terrible. So I met this guy and the courtship was nice. And I was like, okay, and there was like some connections between the family that we found out. So I rushed into the marriage, but like that was not a good decision. So like the first year of marriage itself, it was like the verbal abuse had started. And that went on for like 2 years. And I was like, okay, I can't, like, imagine how can you live with somebody who always speaks bad about you, who always taunts you? Like, you can't live with that person, right? That's like a very negative environment to live in. So I asked for a divorce, and my ex-husband was like, I'll work on myself. And I am a very committed person. Like, I was like, okay, I got married. He wants to work on himself. Let him do that. But that never goes the right way, right? So, 2013, I broke my ankle while I was playing on a tree in Mysore. And yeah, and so I went back to Pune and I had to get it operated, and I had to put the screws and plates in it. And when I went back home after the operation, I was hospitalized for like a week or so. And then I reached home. That's when my ex-husband sexually abused me. He raped me in terms like I did not give him my consent, and he forced himself on me. I could have protected myself, but at the cost of my leg, because I was completely bedridden and I couldn't move. Uh, but honestly, I never cried. I never went into this why me mode, or oh my God, this happened with me. Why me? I never did that. Even when I was being abused, I was like, okay, this is happening now. Tomorrow, it's going to be my day. I'm going to make my future. There was this so much of strength I had. Like, I was like, yeah, it's going to be over in a couple of minutes, but I have my future ahead of me. That was the thought I had. So I never had this thing, oh my God, I was a victim, or oh my God, this happened with me. I never thought about it, because I was like, yeah, tomorrow I'm going to live my life without this man in my life. And I fought for my divorce, and here I am, happy. And I speak a lot about it because marital rape in India is not a crime. It is still not recognized as rape in India. But very recently, I think last month, yeah, it was last month, the Supreme Court of India recognized marital rape in case of abortion rights. So what happens in India, if you want to abort, if you're married, your husband has to sign the papers too. But the Supreme Court said that in case if it is a married woman and it's a marital rape, the husband doesn't need to sign. So we have hope, we see light that our legal system is recognizing the term marital rape now. Soon things will change. So yeah, that makes me happy. I so many of my students, they have opened up about their abuse in the class, because they know they have come to the class to share it, and then they have become my students. And I always maintain a safe space. When someone comes and they're like, I want to talk, I allow them to talk. It's like, I know, go ahead and talk. And so they discuss. So imagine a stranger comes and just shares his or her story amongst everybody in the class. Like, that's a sign of strength. And that is one of the reasons I speak more about it, so that more and more people can speak and they find strength and they move on with their life. So yeah. that is what, and it's all because of the practice. Like, as I said, I know I've started. Maybe I'm not there yet. I don't know if I'll go to that extreme of knowing my whole self. No, but I know myself. I know what are my weaknesses. I know what are my strengths. So when things go wrong, I really play on my strength, and that is what gives me the hope for future. And that's exactly what I did. And yeah, it's because of this practice, like being on the mat, discipline, working on your passion, working on your fear, working on the mental limitations that you have for yourself, working on your insecurities. That really builds up a lot of strength, physical, mental, emotional. And I got all these things from the practice, all from the practice.
That's quite commendable, Chandana. I am sorry that you had to go through that, but it surprised me or shocked me at your reaction when what you were thinking and how you saw your future ahead. And it's
Yeah.
like
I so many times there are women who approach me and they are like, they come, and when they say, why me? I was like, listen, if you want to come here and cry and say, why me? Then I'm not the person. If you want to come here and say, how do I move forward? I am there for you. Because if you keep on saying, why me? No matter whatever, how many times I give you an answer, or the way I answer you, it will never be your answer. You will never be satisfied. You have to move beyond why me and look towards your future.
Yeah, many times. I remember a friend who told me that yoga many times, or really like the art of being alive. Many times it's not so much about why did this happen or why. It's not so much about finding the reasons as it is about finding the way forward.
Exactly.
And that applies to practice, like on your yoga mat, your daily ritual, but that applies to your life, to how you speak to yourself, how you handle yourself. This is part of self-mastery. You know, all this, my way to look at it, at least, all this asanas, all the postures, all these disciplines that we do, they are about collecting oneself. They're about mastery of oneself. It's like just running around like a headless chicken, or being the victim of fear or old stories, whatever. I mean, that's an easy way to go about things. And this is not criticizing anyone, but it's about, it's not going to take you far. It's really not going to take you far. It's not going to take you out of your problems, really. Just indulgent. But of course, when you go through something like you did, this is way easier, I'm sure, said than done. And so that's why I'm saying that your story is quite impactful, and you're quite commendable, a really strong woman. Thank you for sharing, for being so honest, and for being an inspiration. I think that's amazing, Chandana.
Thank you. No, my motive, my main aim of sharing my story is to let others know that there is a lot beyond our trauma. You know, we still exist beyond our trauma, and we can exist and live happily. So that's why I'm like, we like, I tell my family to, like, victimhood gets you nowhere. It's that will to live, that is that hunger to live, that's what's going to take you forward in life.
It's a zest for life. Wanting to be alive.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Look, Chandana, I am aware that you are in Mysore now. You must be in a very early batch, practicing very early, and I don't want to take much more time from your evening. I think I want you to sleep, to have a good rest. You still have a couple of days to go.
I know.
But
Yeah.
maybe we can wrap up this chat with well, with a couple of questions. The first one is, how do you see Ashtanga Yoga evolving in the next, let's say, 10, 15 years? How do you see it changing? And the second question I'll tell you later.
Okay. One thing that I really see, and I'm very happy about it, and I'm pretty sure Guruji is also very happy about it. Ashtanga Yoga, we are having more Indian students and Indian teachers now.
Oh,
Yeah, I remember in 2010, 13, 14 till 15, like when he's like, all my Indian students raise their hands, and 2 and 3 of us used to raise our hands. Now the numbers are growing. There are, like, this season, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Indian teachers got authorized.
cool.
So yeah, that is one thing. Another thing is, I think there is this a lot of emphasis has been given, like specifically now when things are getting diluted. A lot of, like, most of the teachers that I see, or the students who practice, they really put a lot of emphasis on the right teaching, on the right method, correct method. And I'm very happy to see that discipline, that dedication, because yeah, when things, like, when things are getting diluted, you tend to like, even I'll do that. But no, we are holding our ground. And we are like, we're not going to get diluted like the way others are. And I'm happy about it. As I said, the dogma that surrounds Ashtanga is not true. One has to come to the Shala and come to the Shala for many years to see that even Guruji's teaching changes as the students change. It's not the same. So it is always, Ashtanga Yoga is always evolving. It's not just now it has started evolving. It has been evolving, it is always evolving. But you need to be here in person, learn under him, and come for many years to know that evolution that takes place in Ashtanga. So Ashtanga Yoga is changing forever, like, because we change. Change is constant. Like, the students are changing, of course, the teaching and the teacher, everybody is going to change. So yes, so I think it's forever changing, it's evolving. Yeah. But I'm happy that we are holding our grounds, and we are sticking to the principles and the rules, and not diluting our stuff. So yeah, that is one thing that is constant.
I think that's something important, right? To have like a proper structure to contain all the natural evolution of life.
Yeah.
I think it's important in
exactly.
And everything else. And finishing thoughts. If people listening should keep one single thing in mind from this chat, what would that be?
Go to a teacher. It's life-changing. It's life-changing. Just go to a teacher. Like, it takes time to find your teacher, but once you do, the guidance of a teacher, like, I'm getting a little teary eyes, because yeah, Guruji has done a lot for me. Like, every Guru Purnima, I thank him. Yeah, go to a teacher. It's going to be life-changing.
Thank you so much, Chandana. That was a fantastic chat. I would have spent so much more time with you, but I just wanted you to have a good night's sleep.
Yeah, another 1.5 hours and I'll sleep.
Thank you so much for being with us. And I wish you all the best in this trip.
Thank you for having me, Carmen. And I hope to see you again soon.
Yeah. I hope to be in the summer. I so very much miss Mysore. But Chandana, I opened the Shala in 2019. And so 2020, I couldn't come to Mysore because I was so broke. That's my reality. And then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And keeping a Shala afloat over COVID, it hasn't been easy. I'm dying to go back to my school. I'm truly dying to go back. But the time is coming.
Yeah, it is.
And I have my Mysore friends, so it's good.
Thank you, Carmen.
Thank you so much, Chandana.
Thank you so much. Hope to see you soon.
I will see you soon and we'll be in touch. Thanks.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.